This is Ron Carter. Over the last year, we've scoured Butler County, Pennsylvania in search of its hidden arts and cultural treasures. What we've discovered is that while Butler County might be better known for its natural beauty, picturesque farmland, and outdoor recreation, each community that we visited is rich in arts and culture venues, attractions, and programming. So today, we're going to retrace our steps and revisit the wealth that is arts and culture in Butler County, Pennsylvania on this episode of Showreel. This is the first organization that we've covered that doesn't really have its own venue. So now why is that?
Well, when we formed our organization, we were partnering with the township and they were really happy to have us on board. And we thought, wow, they're happy to have us, we're happy to be here. And so we were really thrilled because the foot traffic here, actually about 5,000 people a week, gave us a lot more foot traffic than we would have gotten in just a standalone gallery.
So most of your shows are held here at the Cranberry Township Municipal Center?
Yes, okay. Almost exclusively, with the exception of the year they were under construction. Mm-hmm. They were upset, we were upset, but we're back. And they loved having us here. We set up in this lobby where you see front door, back door, and almost all of the hallways. Our shows are fairly large.
So how many pieces of artwork do you typically put together for a show like this?
Well, we have 3 major shows here a year. We range anywhere between 80 and 150 pieces.
Wow.
Right, the shows have been getting bigger and bigger, and I think our smallest show was 83 pieces.
And how many, now what constitutes a piece of artwork? I mean, is it paintings, is it sculptures, is it a mix? What can I expect to find when I come into a show?
Well, we're not exclusive to any type of medium. We actually open it up to almost every medium. Our board alone, our executive board, we have people that represent sculptors. I'm a ceramic artist myself. We have jewelers, watercolorists, oil painters, pastel, graphic arts. If there's a medium out there, we take it.
On a sunny spring morning in Cranberry Township, you might just hear the birds singing, the squirrels rustling through the trees. Or, if you happen to be near Dutil United Methodist Church, you might just hear the rousing harmonies of a 52-member men's barbershop chorus, affectionately known as the Bogmeisters. Let's take a listen. We have to get past the white elephant.
Okay.
Bogmeisters.
Bogmeisters. That's a name that everyone should love.
It's certainly distinctive.
It's the masters of the bog. If everyone knows that cranberries, they're grown in bogs. You've seen the different commercials for bogs and so on. And so as they were trying to come up with a catchy name, the idea was, well, cranberry, you have bogs, and there has to be somebody that's the master of the bog. So we decided to make it like kind of a German touch to it, so it's a Bogmeister.
Okay,
so we're the meisters of the bog.
And it's very exciting that you are.
Yes.
Now, tell me about the history of the organization. How did all this get started?
Well, we were a spin-off of the Butler Notables.
Okay.
There was a point where some people wanted to come further south because they figured in Cranberry, a very growing area.
Yes, absolutely.
So a group of, I think it was 8 to 9 was the original group, and they met and they tried to get a chapter together. And it took probably 2 years before they could actually get the chapter that was actually certified by the national group, which is the Barbershop Harmony Society.
And the whole idea is I wanted something uplifting. With everything that's going on in the world today, we hear so much stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to reach out and give people hope. wanted to inspire them. And I told the chorus, my goal for this show was to make a difference in someone's life. Not just the people that are listening to the chorus and listening to the show, but even the people that are performing. To be a part of something really special, something that will move them and change them in a positive way.
What really struck you about glass blowing, and then where did you take it from there?
Well, what really struck me was that the guy was starting out with just solid rods and hollow tube. Okay, that's the only material that he worked with. And he was making all kinds of crazy sculptures out of them, and it was just mind-boggling. And you know, you're watching them hold a solid rod and it turns to a liquid. When you remove it from the flame, it goes back to solid again. Like I said, mind-blowing. So there was nobody around to teach at the time, but he did recommend books and videos to me. One of them was a series of videos by a man named Lewis Wilson, and the other one was a book by Bondu Scott Dunham. Bondu, we have a building named after him. We also have the main building here, which is named after my hero, Lewis Wilson.
Really?
Yes, this is the Lewis Wilson building. Over the years, we became friends. He came here for a couple of our conventions. We dedicated the building to him. And his reaction was, I thought you had to be dead to get a building in your name. So, but yeah, that's pretty much how I started. Books and videos. This is way before the internet was big, long before YouTube.
Right.
I would sit there in front of the television set. My wife thought I was nuts, but I would practice spinning the way Lewis would, okay, learning all the different hand motions, and eventually I bought a torch and started doing it for real.
So truly amazing. You are self-taught at this.
Yes.
And I'm sure hoping that you're going to light something on fire here very quickly.
Yep, everything except myself.
Right, excellent. And not me either, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Because polyester doesn't burn, it melts.
You see how close my hands are to where it was heated?
Absolutely.
Okay, some glass blowers like to puff into the tube like this. I prefer a blow hose. It allows me to hold it in different directions as I puff into it. And what we have there is a basic teardrop Christmas ornament. After that's finished, ornament cap.
Wonderful.
It's just that easy.
It is truly amazing. What an amazing process. This is a beautiful museum, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of the pieces that are here. But how does Saxonburg, who founded it? What's the brief history of the town?
John Roebling founded the town. He actually bought 1,600 acres of land for about $1.25 to $1.37 an acre back in 1831. Fantastic deal.
I'm actually familiar with John Roebling because he, if I'm correct, is the inventor of wire rope and subsequently suspension bridges?
Well, he perfected wire rope cable, and he figured out a way to twist it, and he made the twisting equipment so that you could make the what was modern day wire rope cable that was had good tensile strength and all that. He did that here in Saxonburg. So he came here. On the grounds of the Roebling Park is the original wire rope workshop. It was a workshop. He had drawings. He did his drawings and designs in there. He did not have equipment. He would make and get volunteers, and once he was going, they would go and make 2,500 feet of twisted wire cable here, starting on the park land, up behind the church on Main Street, and down to where Duco now ceramic is. And they'd make those long stretches, and that's where that's how his original wire cable was made.
So that's really his claim to fame. But when he founded Saxonburg, but why did he call it Saxonburg? Why not Roebling Town?
He and the group that came with him started it, but really nicknaming it Germania. And then they really made the town's official name Saxonburg in the German Saxonburg.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very good with my German.
Sure.
So Saxonburg. And then it was anglicized to Saxonburg without an H, by the way.
Without the H. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, it's been there ever since then. He laid out the town. The main street is laid out exactly how he did it, east to west. Church being here on the east, the west on the other side, kind of in the spirit of how German towns were set up. He knew that he would write letters back to, he came from Mulhausen, Germany, with his brother, and he would write letters back saying, hey, I've got this great town, it's great here in America, you've got to come. And he said, but I need commerce, I need blacksmith, I need all this. So they started coming over, saying, hey, if this is great, John, we're going to come on. So he lined up and sold the land, and they developed it.
What brought you to the art and culture of chocolatiering?
I, somewhere down deep, am an artist. You know,
Okay.
I've always wanted to do something. In growing up, just didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. Thought it was animals, maybe a veterinarian. Didn't really know.
What was your background?
Animal science.
Really?
Yes.
That was what your degree was in?
Yes, in animal science.
Okay.
Did a master's degree. Went through a bunch of schooling and didn't know really what I wanted to do. Ended up in corporate America. Did a bit of academia for a while.
Been there, done that.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
And I
understood.
thought, I'm still not satisfied. I haven't really itched that craving, whatever it is. So what I decided was to just start looking around and seeing what I wanted to do. I played with chocolate all the time.
Okay.
We'd do chocolate-covered pretzels and Oreos, send them to work for Christmas and, all the fun little things.
Sure, absolutely.
So I decided that I needed to move back to Saxonburg. That was number one.
Okay.
We were living out in Oregon, spent some time in Ohio, and
Wow.
really wanted to get back to my roots.
Sure.
So came back here and didn't know really what I wanted to do, but knew it had to be with my hands.
Okay.
And chocolate just jumped out at me. This was a facility that was a chocolate facility when I was growing up.
Oh, really? Where we are right now?
It is. It used to be called Wilma's Chocolate.
Okay.
And I came in here all the time, almost in this exact same spot. Would buy the Oreos from Wilma. Loved them. What I've tried to do is make this into an all-inclusive, almost a destination. You come here and you can buy a gift for someone. You come here and you buy yourself a snack. You come here to see what we've been creating in the last week or two. So we're constantly changing, constantly making new things. And really, that's my draw.
But truly, to appreciate this place, you have to come here because you have almost everything imaginable covered in chocolate.
We do. Everything from pickles and olives.
Pickles and olives? People want chocolate-covered pickles and olives?
We do, and it's not necessarily something that I might have envisioned. I mean, I do dream a lot about chocolate, and I'll come here, and that's the first thing I do is I say, clear the tables, ladies, we're going to make some chocolate-covered olives tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
But I have a lot of customers who come in, and they want a specific thing. So I had a friend who came in one day and said, Valerie, I'm going out to dinner tonight with someone. I'd like to sort of, give them a surprise, kind of a trick, some of your excellent chocolate. Do you mind dipping these olives in chocolate? So green olives it was that day.
Olives and chocolate, all right, well. And what kind of programs can I find at the Suckup Theater?
There is a little bit of everything here at the Suckup Theater. We have had, over the 15 years previous, we've had just about everything in here you could possibly bring into a theater. Between what I present through the Performing Arts Series that I curate, and the community rentals that we do. We've had just about everything here on this stage that you could possibly bring in here.
So the theater is even available for rent?
Absolutely, it is. When we can rent it. The dates are hard to come by, and we usually book a lot of things a year in advance. So if you're interested in a date, call me and we'll start working out things and see where we can get a date for you.
Well, that's fantastic. So this is a state-of-the-art cultural center where you present all these wonderful professional programs, but also the community can come in and use it if they arrange for it in advance.
If we have the space and we can do it, absolutely.
Fantastic.
We've been home to Butler Musical Theater Guild, Sing Hosanna, Hobnob Theater, We do the Miss Butler County Miss America pageant here annually. We also host the Greater Harmony Chorus has been coming here the last few years.
Really?
The barbershoppers, they come up here and have a wonderful time here.
Amazing. It's great. So there's all kinds of great stuff at any given time of the year.
Yeah, anytime, any month of the year, you're going to find something interesting here at the theater. This all happened when we were building our building. This is part of the Science and Technology building.
Okay.
That was being built back in the late, like 1999, 2000.
Sure.
And there was a capital campaign going to raise funds to be, I know they got some state matching funds.
Sure.
But there was money raised, and when they got to a couple, Tom and Joanne Suckup, they said, we'll give you this much amount of money if you put a theater in the building.
It's hard to turn that kind of offer down.
And they said, okay. So hence the name of our theater, which we've had questions about all over the country, the
Right.
Suck Up Theater.
Right.
It's we're not sucking up to people for funds. They are actually Tom and Joanne Suckup, and they're the one of the nicest couples you'd ever want to meet.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. They've been here a number of times for different performances and different shows. And I can't thank them enough for making this all possible.
So not only just to their generosity, but the fundraising campaign, because of that,
Yes.
you've had this wonderful facility on the Butler County Community College campus for 15 years.
Exactly. And I wish everybody knew that, because we still are trying to get the word out to some people that haven't discovered us yet, which is hard to believe, but that's fine. But we're here anytime they want to come by.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about the history of the Butler Little Theater and this venue?
Well, Butler Little Theater incorporated in 1941, and we bought this particular space in 1945. This is an old carriage house. It was Campbell's barn at that point, and this is where we did many productions, of course, since 1945.
We have been in existence as a theater for going on 77 years. We're getting ready to start our 77th season. In late September is our first show this year. And we've done multiple things here, including a children's workshop, which has been very successful. We have been renting the building more recently for some musical acts. We've had a musician, we've had a stage production, and so it's a great space to use.
Well, we have 5 shows in our season. So as Sue said, our first show starts in September and they run through May. Our workshop for kids, that starts in January. Registration is in January, and then shortly after the 10-week program happens, and then they have their productions usually in April. And then we have a production in the summer for the youth. It is youth directed as well as performed, and then they have adults supporting those programs in production.
So you have a this child workshop program. Tell me a little bit about that, because that sounds very interesting. It's actually 10 weeks long?
Yes.
It's 10 weeks long, and it's 3 nights a week. We have 3 different classes, 3rd and 4th grade, 5th and 6th grade, and then 7 through 12. Each teacher has an assistant to help them along with different rehearsal times and whatever, getting costumes together, getting set pieces.
You know, I've heard about certain venues facing challenges because of location, but the Musical Theater Guild, that's a story unto itself. But once you find your way through Memorial Park to their venue, it's completely worth it. Oh!
It got started back in 1962 with a barbershop conversation between a man named Tom Hanks, who was in very much in the video, and his barber, whose name was John DeWitt. John was very involved in commercial travelers, trust fund for exceptional children, and they were wanting to do a fundraiser. So he asked Carl if they had any ideas about what they could do. And because Carl was in the theater, he of course suggested that they do a musical theater show. So Carl went to some of his friends, William Leonard, who was very instrumental in us getting most of everything that we have here. And they decided to do a show. The first show that they did was called Pajama Game. And it starred Claudette Zanzotti and Wilbur Dunbar. Bill directed and Carl produced it.
And where was it produced?
It was back in those days we didn't have this building. So rehearsals had to be done in any space that they could find. Local churches, community centers, stuff like that. That was where they rehearsed. They built a scenery in any abandoned storefront that they could find, or people's garages or whatever. They didn't have a permanent home back then.
Right.
And so they did the show itself at the Butler High School. It had just opened not too long before that.
They opened into a brand new building for all intents and purposes.
And they sold out 2 performances. Back then, tickets were like $1.50. They made like thousands of dollars for the charity. And everything was done by volunteers, of course, mostly the way we are now.
Sure.
And they had such a good time doing it that they thought, we should just keep doing this. We didn't only just do shows. We used to go to we used to go to local schools
What is this?
and churches and do a puppet show. The puppets that were used in Carnival back in 1963 were made, and then they started doing puppet shows for kids and going to all the different schools and everything.
Fantastic. This is a puppet from 1963?
1963.
Would you mind?
Still in good shape. Yeah.
That is wonderful.
We had many of them. This was one too. I think this is Mew Mew. You can hold Mew Mew.
Oh, I can. As you follow the tree-lined streets of McCain Street, which runs parallel to Main Street in Butler, you will find a fascinating museum dedicated to Asian arts and culture, as well as German Meissen porcelain. Welcome to the Merredon Museum. I am with Roxanne Boozer, the Executive Director here at the Merredon Museum in Butler. Roxanne, this is such a beautiful museum, and I can't believe it's right here in downtown Butler. So how did all this come together?
Our founder was Mary Holton Phillips, and she grew up and lived here in Butler. And she amassed this collection over about a 40-year period. And as she got older, she was known to have a great sense of humor, and she used to say that you never see a U-Haul following her. So she decided she needed to do something. She and her husband never had any children. So she started talking about putting together a museum. And indeed, in 2001, out of her home, the museum became incorporated, and they started remodeling this space here. This used to be a light store and a car dealership.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so they ended up modifying everything for the needs of the museum. And they went through what was museum quality and what wasn't. And we have what you have here today.
Fantastic. And so the museum opened at what time?
May of 2004.
May of 2004. Yes. So about 13 years it's been in operation.
Yes.
Now, are you still finding that people don't even realize that it's here?
Yes,
or
unfortunately, we still get that. And when people do come in, they're amazed that it's here. Why is this in Butler? This is such a beautiful museum. It should be in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Chicago or even New York. We hear comments like that all of the time. But Mary was a big philanthropist in the area. She gave to many nonprofit organizations. And it was important to her that it be here.
The first 2 pieces are rose quartz voodoo dogs, which you can see. And they're placed here because they're guarding the museum from all the negativity. And they're a pair, the yin and the yang, so to speak. So you have harmony and completeness.
Fantastic.
So they always go together. And of course, we'll start with the yang.
All right.
So Mary had this piece in her home. And actually, it was one of the pieces my husband would have really loved to have had, because my husband loves smiling, and he's always got that smile on his face.
Sure.
So Budai, at Christmas time in Mary's home, always had a big Santa hat. All the kids had hats too. So now at Christmas time, and very soon, probably right after Thanksgiving, they're all going to be donning their Santa hats. And when the kids come for tours, we do a lot of tours for schools. They love Budai, and they really love Budai because it's the only piece in the museum that they're allowed to touch.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
They're allowed to rub his belly.
And why that? And why is that?
Because then they'll have good fortune for the rest of their life.
All right. Well, then I'm
So
going to
there
have a
you
little
go.
pat right there.
There.
Well done. I feel better already.
These are a few of my favorite pieces, and they are called the satire pieces in the museum.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to focus on this piece right here, this is a man and woman, and the man realizes there's another man, the lover of his wife, hiding under the bed.
Oh, my.
The little dog has kind of ratted him out. And on this piece right here, you have an elderly woman with a young lover, and this is her wealth here, and you have Cupid there with the will getting out because he's trying to take her money. And yeah.
So human behavior really hasn't changed at all in the last several hundred years.
It hasn't at all. So, and the last piece of the satire that I really love is you have a card game going on here with a father and a husband and wife, and you see an attorney come in and a woman with a baby claiming that that is his child. Of course, the wife is mortified and the father is laughing.
Welcome to the Butler Arts Center.
The Butler Arts Center got started about 80 years ago.
Really, 80 years?
80 years.
Wow.
And they were meeting at the library.
Okay.
For approximately 50 years. And then this building came open. This is a Masonic temple.
Really?
And so we've been here 30 years on the first floor.
So what types of programs take place here? I mean, obviously it's a gallery, it's a beautiful facility, but what kind of shows do you put on here?
Well, currently we have the Butler County Elementary Art School show. In 2 weeks we'll have the high school show. We have the Hobnob Theater. They have 2 weeks here with their theater in the round.
Oh, really? So they put on a live performance in this space?
Correct.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And after that, Slippery Rock University seminar class has their own show. And these are students who are learning how to become curators, at which time they have the chili cook-off here.
So okay, so let me get this straight. We have an art gallery, we have a performance space,
right,
and we have a chili cook-off.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
We fund ourselves through art classes, art parties. We have a pottery studio. We have band nights, probably 2-3 times a month.
Band nights?
Band nights. We have downstairs and upstairs different kinds of bands. Some are hip hop, some are rock, some are heavy metal.
Really?
And that helps pay the bills.
And that all happens right here in this gallery space?
Right here. It's a community art center. We're not a fine art gallery, although some of the shows we have are terrific. And we've got some unbelievable artists that are members in that exhibit here. But it's a community art center. It's for everybody.
On Franklin Street in Butler is a beautiful church, St. Peter's Catholic Church. But it's also the rehearsal home of the Summer Dramatics Project under the direction of Gordon Cavallero. The Summer Dramatics Project is a youth-oriented musical theater program open to ages 10 to 24. Tell me about the Summer Dramatics Project. It sounds very exciting. We were just inside for a few minutes looking at the rehearsals, and all these kids are having a great time. But how did all this get started?
Well, it started back in the 60s. And,
oh, that long?
That long ago. But Bill Leonard started it, and he was active in the musical theater community in the city of Butler.
Sure, Bill Leonard. I remember that name came up with the musical theater
He
deal.
did.
So he's been all over the place,
all
huh?
over the place.
Fantastic.
And he's left us a great legacy. And he started the program with the city of Butler. It was a recreation program at the time. And that's when the city had money. They didn't have money for stuff like that anymore.
Right.
But, he started as a project for people that were coming back from college and didn't have anything to do in the summer.
Okay.
And at that time, it was mostly for older kids. Now, and it evolved to where we have the project now where we have an age group of 10 to 24.
Wow. So that wide of an age group, all working together.
All working together. Since it is a project, Summer Dramatics project, it's here for us to teach the kids about theater. That's mainly why we're here, and to put on a great show also.
Sure.
We get a lot of kids coming back. A lot of our kids are in college and musical theater majors. And,
sure.
We also have kids that have never been on stage before, so it really works out well.
All levels of experience, from kids that have been doing stage work for years to probably for the first time.
Right.
Now, how did you both get involved in the Summer Dramatics project?
It was 3 summers ago. They were doing Grease, and my friends had always done it, and I just wanted to audition, so I did, and I was hooked. I stayed for 2 summers, and we took a break last year, and I was here for the summer, so I was like, hey, Gordon, I want to help, and so he rounded me back in, and here I am.
Fantastic. And what about you, Zane?
I also started that year because I knew friends that were in it, and they said audition, and I said okay, and yes.
How long have you been involved with the Summer Dramatics project itself?
I have been involved in the Summer Dramatics project this is my 8th year.
Wow,
now.
fantastic.
I was 13 when I first got involved. 13, so I'm 21 now. And Bye Bye Birdie was my first show here.
Oh, really? So this is almost like a repeat for you.
Yes, that's right. It's full circle.
Wow. Well, take me back through the process of creating a piece of pottery. I mean, you had mentioned about some of the prep work and things like that, but how long does it take you to get from from the very beginning when you start creating to you have a finished product ready for sale?
I can do what I call a batch of work in about 2 weeks, because there's so much lag time in between waiting for things to dry.
Okay, so you're making multiple pieces at the same time.
Right, a kiln is very large. Like we measure it in cubic space, so there are shelves that we have to fill up. So I have to think in terms of how many pieces is it worth to run that, because it will run for 12 hours. And my electric bill, my meter spins.
Of course.
What's going on? Then you have to wait for it to dry, and our kilns that you hear clicking back here, you have to fire them and then decide again, what am I going to do next with this? And that's the decorating process, which I love. So once they get to see my pieces, they'll see that I don't leave any surface untouched.
Wow, that's very exciting. So from that time, and I'm just admiring some of these gorgeous pieces that you have here. It's what kind of inspiration do you draw from? Like, how do you decide what you're going to create?
I'm influenced a lot by what's around me, and I like aprons and old kitchen towels, things that are reminiscent of my grandmother's and my mother. We have a blackberry farm, so I spend most of my summers picking blackberries. This winter, I became very nostalgic for the blackberries, and I started a new blackberry pattern.
Oh, wow.
Because I did miss being in the rows picking berries.
Yeah.
What I'm doing now is called pulling up the wall. And I'm applying pressure on the inside and on the outside to get the clay to move up, centrifugal force. Our physics teacher at Deer Lakes, he can throw on the pottery wheel, so every once in a while I'll say, get down here and throw for the kids.
Oh, so we can explain the physics of it. And through the magic of television, this is kind of what
well, actually,
you might see.
That one.
Well, this one doesn't. This one's
I know, it doesn't have any decorations on it.
So this, but bigger. Okay?
Yeah, and clay shrinks, so that bowl that I just made will be this size.
Wow.
Because the water evaporates out of it and all the clay particles shrink together.
That is, even without the decor on it, it's really gorgeous.
Thank you.
Here at the Strand in Zillionople. Jeremy, thanks for being on Showreel.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
All right, now it's the quiz time.
Okay.
What can you tell me about the Strand Theater?
All right. Well, it was originally built in 1914 by Joseph and Rosalie Sapienza. Now, he wanted to build a fruit market, but a local banker in town convinced him that they could use a theater in town, so he decided he'd give up 2/3 of the building for a theater, but still keep 1/3 for the fruit market, and that's how the Strand came to be.
Excellent.
It was, at that point, silent films, mostly, and they had a piano player playing loud music. It's rumored that the piano player only knew a few songs, so she would speed up or slow down depending on how the movie was going. It's kind of funny.
That is great.
In 1939, it had its first real renovation where he gave up his fruit market and the whole building went theater.
Yep.
And at that point it was converted mainly to films, first-run films and features.
But then, and then of course, time goes on, and then what happened from there?
It continued to be in operation till the early 80s. And then it sat empty for almost about 20 years. In 2001, the Strand Theater Initiative began, and in 2009, the renovations were complete, the theater reopened, and has been presenting professional live theater and films ever since.
Fantastic. So what kind of programs were here from 2009 on?
Well, there's been everything from concerts to big name entertainers like Debbie Reynolds, who actually opened the theater when it reopened.
That's right.
Other notable names you might recognize: John Oates, the Celtic Tenors. We've had Paige Davis, who's back on television.
I've been fighting to get up here to the Strand again because this space is just, I mean, there's nothing like it. And
oh, really?
The audience, it's incredible. I've been in several old movie theaters that have been turned into stage theaters. No one did it as well as the Strand has done it. There's not a bad seat in the house.
Write that down.
There's not a bad seat in the house. You're so close to what's going on stage that you feel like you're a part of it. And for me as an actor, to be able to not make everything huge like I'm performing to 2,500 people and portray an intimate performance.
Only one town on planet Earth is named Zelienople, and there's a very good reason for that. And today, we're going to find out about this historic town and meet some of the people who manage the Zelienople Historical Society, which has 2 properties right here on Main Street. What can you tell me about the Passavant House? Why is this even a museum?
Well, the Passavant House was built and owned by Zélie and Philip Passavant.
Okay.
Now, Zélie, which was actually a nickname, but Zélie was the daughter of Baron Detmar Bassey.
Right.
And Bassey was the one that purchased 10,000 acres of land in this area.
Right.
Sold 4,000 of them to Father Rapp for the Harmony.
Right.
But then founded and sited the town of Zelienople.
And of course, he named it after his daughter. At least the daughter's nickname.
He named it after his daughter, Zélie, and then Nople, which is from the Greek polis, for city or town.
Great.
So Zelienople.
Why is the Buell House part of the Zelienople Historical Society?
Well, Christian Buell was an early pioneer of Zelienople. He was a good friend of Detmar Bassey. In fact, Detmar Bassey invited him to come out to Zelienople. He was a trapper and a furrier in Germany, and he said, hey, I can do the same thing here. There's Connequenessing Creek's right in town.
Sure.
And he did, and he built a log cabin behind what is now St. Paul's Lutheran Church.
Okay.
For a year, trapped beavers, made beautiful men's top hats.
Oh, wow.
Sold them in Pittsburgh, made a fortune. He was already rich.
Excellent.
And after 1 year of living in that log cabin, he said, I got to get out of here. I need a house or I'm going to freeze to death. And as soon as Christian Buell saw this property, there's a little stream or a run that runs right through here. And he said, that's the water source for my property. I want this property. And so they dickered like good Germans do, and he got the price, and he immediately built this house, 3 stories high with a mansard roof and dormers, and it's 3 bricks thick. It's going to be warm in the winter and cool in the summer, plus cross ventilation, which was unheard of back then. And this was his home. We had a donor bought the house in the early 90s and gave it to the Historical Society, and we turned it into not one museum, Ron, there's 2 museums.
2 museums within the Buell House.
Yeah, the Buell family is on the 1st and 3rd floor, and on the 2nd floor is a museum for Zelienople.
So if you are a fan of history, by all means, come visit us at the Zelienople Historical Society, right on Main Street in Zelienople. Just about a mile from Zelienople's Main Street is a town that most people consider to be a sister borough, called Harmony. In fact, Harmony itself doesn't just have one museum. The entire town has been declared a National Historical Landmark. So let's meet with folks who run Historic Harmony and the Harmony Museum.
Historic Harmony was founded in December of 1943, so we're actually celebrating
Oh,
our
my
75th
goodness.
Birthday, our anniversary, And it was founded so that a nonprofit was formed so we could take possession of the Harmonist Cemetery.
Okay, so you've been around for 75 years coming up in December.
Not me personally, but the organization has.
Well done, well done. There's been really just a monumental effort to preserve not just one property, but several properties, and the entire town is a designated historic district, right?
That's right. It's a National Historic District.
You know, today, Historic Harmony is an entire historic district. Yes. And I'm sure it's a monumental effort just to maintain one property, but you have several, isn't that right?
Yes, we actually have 9 properties that we take care of.
9 properties that the Historic Harmony Group is responsible for. Wow.
The Historic Society owns this building that we're in. Next to us, down Mercer Street, is what we call the Wagner House, and it was built as a duplex for 2 sisters of the Harmony Society and their families. And so both of those are part of the tour, actually, when you come to visit, as is the main museum building. We also own a Mennonite log house that's right about 2 buildings from the square. Another log house, which is our visitor information center.
That's the relatively new, new log home, yes.
The new one. It was just relocated here.
Okay.
Most recently located. There's also a Mennonite era log structure that was moved in the early 1990s and 2000s, reconstructed here. That is our weaver's cabin.
Okay.
And our volunteers, they do weaving there. They talk about it if you want to stop in. They also do teach little classes too.
Oh, fantastic.
We have our barn, which was built by the Harmony Society, and it's right across the Connequanescent Creek from the main town.
I understand that barn actually has some activities that go on there during the course of the year.
Oh yeah, we use it for several of our events, our Urban Garden Fair, which is another fundraiser, and our antique show. We also rent it out to the public. And our music festival too. I don't want to forget that one.
Of course, excellent.
Recently.
All right, so beyond the barn, we still have...
We have Wrapped Seat, which is a little difficult to get to because it does require quite a climb.
Okay.
There are stairs going up a very steep hillside right across the Connequanescent Creek from the main town.
Okay.
And it's just a stone carved seat where George Rapp would sit and meditate and pray and watch the people working in the fields below him. We also have our Mennonite Meeting House, which is 1825. It was built by the Mennonites. They felt that the Harmony Society Church left behind here, which is now part of Grace Church, it's still here. They felt it was more too much like a regular church, so they built their own place of worship.
They've got a cemetery around that meeting house too, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
And that one has headstones, whereas the Harmony Society Cemetery, located on what's now Route 68, does not have any headstones.
But there's another intriguing aspect of that is this mammoth door.
Well, it's a gate. It's a revolving stone gate.
Okay.
It weighs about a ton, and you can open it by pushing with one hand. Now, some people say one finger, but you have to have a pretty strong finger to do that. But you can do it with one hand, and it's completely revolving. It was to be symbolic of going from this state of existence to the next.
This is really a beautiful and eclectic looking gallery. So what can you tell me about the Bottle Brush? I mean, how did all this get started?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. We're very proud of it. We took ownership of the gallery in August of 2011.
Okay.
The 3 years prior to that, Miranda Berner and her sister Jenny owned it, and they were the ones that came to Harmony with the dream of an art gallery that would showcase local art. Everything in here is made by artists who are either from or live within 50 miles of Harmony.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that was their dream.
Fantastic.
And so when we took over, we just expanded upon that dream. And everything that we do here connects to the mission of joining community to art.
Tell me about some of the artists that you feature here.
Sure. We have 85 artists who show in here.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, 85.
That's incredible.
It's amazing, and they do everything from weaving to photography, some fine art painting. I think the mosaic, we have mosaic guitars that we sell here from Bill Racky, who's a Zelienople native. They do oils, everything you can imagine that is done here for the arts. They do watercolors, and the youngest artist we have is 18. Her name is Rachel, and she makes jewelry.
Fantastic.
And the oldest artist, and I will not tell you how old she is, but she is in her 90s.
Oh my goodness.
And she does watercolor, and she does scratch art. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And she lives at Passivant over in Zelienople.
As I look around this space, I notice a distinct lack of digital media. Now, why is that?
Because I'm in love with analog, and I think everybody should be. Analog is evocative. Analog is not listening to music, it's reliving your life.
Okay.
And scratches, pops, hisses, it doesn't matter. When the sounds come out of the old vinyl we have in here, or even the new, people go back to a time and place and recall where they were, what they were doing. And it's the soundtrack and the movie of your life.
Just walking through and looking at some of the selections, I mean, it's not just rock and pop. You have symphony music here. You've got R&B music here.
We do. There's the R&B, we have the jazz, standards, old standards, a lot of Sinatra, a lot of the great old standards, folk, bluegrass, country, popular music. We cover all bases. We have a lot of old vinyl, but we also have a lot of new vinyl. I mean, I've got Ed Sheeran, Adele, the Yvette Brothers, anything that I think might appeal to a younger audience or even a mature audience.
Now, what can you tell me about all this? How did all this come to be? It's really an amazing campus.
Well, the original part of the property, the first 15 acres, was purchased around 1970, and then we started building structures on it, the main house, the barn, some of the other outbuildings. Then in 1995 or so, we bought another 20 acres adjacent, and so it's now about 40 acres. We actually built a house on the back, 25 acres, and subsequently sold it to Jason and his wife when they got married here in the music room. So.
How does the theater organ that's here compare to some of the other instruments that you've played throughout the country?
Well, when I first came here in 2007, I was very impressed for a lot of reasons. There's just not too many instruments around, particularly in a setting like this, which has the engineering behind it to have the floor actually move open, you know, where there's a door that allows the original lift concept to bring the organ up. That was very cool. The sound of the instrument I've always been really fond of. It's essentially and over the years, as I've been coming here, there's been work done, what's called tonal regulation, voicing the organ, and it's getting to the point where it's right about at perfect. It's really amazing, and it's a joy to play. I will sit down and it sort of plays me, you know, once you get into it.
Fantastic.
We started increasing the number of buildings on the property. There's a building up there, which was the original barn, and that was also the first location of the pipe organ that we bought back in 1981.
At what point do you start adding these different features to the campus?
It's almost like every few years we get the urge to build something. And the structure that you're going to see now is what we call our clock tower. One of the reasons why we built a clock tower was there was an auction in the North Hills, and there was a Seth Thomas tower clock which was put up at auction. And I went to the auction, and I ended up getting the winning bid on the Seth Thomas tower clock. It's all
abandoned farmland.
Abandoned farmland.
Abandoned farmland, amazing.
Yeah. And this everything on this property here was just full of the wild blackberries.
Slippery Rock University is about 40 minutes north of Pittsburgh and is most well known for its outstanding education and exercise sciences degrees. But what a lot of people don't realize is that it has a very robust theatrical program. How long have you been in Slippery Rock?
This is my 25th year.
Really?
I've been here a long time.
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And you've been, I assume you've had a great experience here.
Oh yeah, it's a great place to work. They've always had a really great attitude toward art here. We've never encountered any kind of censorship. We've never encountered any kind of pressure to do what they think we should be doing. They trust us to create the seasons and do what we do with them, which is sometimes a little edgy.
Sure.
And they've always seemed to appreciate it, the administration. I think they're very pro art.
On campus, I teach in the dance department, like I said. I'm actually a hip hop dancer, a B-girl.
Oh,
so that's
wonderful.
basically a female break dancer. And so I teach all different kinds of street dance styles in the department, as well as contemporary dance too. I'm the advisor for the dance team, Dance Express, and just mentor students with their choreography and performance.
I think a lot of people don't realize what a robust program Slippery Rock has in their theater department.
Oh yeah, it's a hidden gem, I think.
Why alpacas?
Okay, it started with something as simple as this. I went to a street fair and saw a teddy bear and had never heard of an alpaca before, and went to the farm where they had the alpacas, and my husband heard about a tax incentive.
Aha!
And it was all over
okay.
from there.
And how long ago was that?
That was in, that was about
this really
15
is
years ago. They're awesome. They're wonderful.
I'm sorry, how long has it been?
About 15 years.
And this is a sample of the types of things that you'll make with it?
Right.
And what is this?
This is a table runner or a wall hanging. Somebody just wanted it to throw on a table. It's rustic.
Yeah, it's very attractive. So this is so you'll have the batting made up and you'll be able to make things like this from that. Now, how do you create these types of patterns?
It's a process where you're just taking natural leaves. There's no dyes in anything.
There's no dyes in this at all?
No dyes in this at all.
So very, very natural.
Very natural, very sustainable. That's the wonderful thing about alpaca too. It's hypoallergenic, so it doesn't itch and scratch.
Oh, so people who might be allergic to wool
are not.
Have no problem with the alpaca
Right.
fiber.
Right.
Well, that's very interesting. And what other types of products then do you manufacture yourself from the alpaca fibers?
We can
you
do about-
mentioned purses and what other
Yeah,
types of things?
purses and totes, shawls, clothing, capes, hats.
I mean, right here we've got, are these
Insoles.
actually insoles you use for your shoes?
Yes, and they're very popular. They work.
Really? And why? Because are they that comfortable?
They're comfortable. They give you a little cushioning. You can use them all year long. They wick moisture.
Okay.
And they give you an insulation against the cold, but in the summer you can still wear them because they're breathable.
Since you're on an alpaca farm, I assume there's got to be some type of a tourism type element to that. I mean, do you get group outings here?
We have many, many groups. And we don't charge for our groups either.
Oh, really?
We hope they'll shop here, but we
Sure.
don't charge for the groups that come through. And we've had from a tour from 5 people to 100.
Why not taking it? I am not winning any friends today. Come on. Come on. They're mocking me. They're mocking me. It's like, I'm going to get just this close and then run away. Huh. Yeah, I don't have anything. Sorry. From Harrisville to Butler, from Hilliers to Cranberry Township, from Zillionople to Harmony. Arts and culture are alive and well in Butler County, Pennsylvania. It's been an amazing journey, and there's still so much more to see. So until the next time, this is Ron Carter for Show Reel. If you would like to find out more about arts and culture in Butler County, PA, be sure to visit the online calendar on the website of the Butler County Tourism and Convention Bureau.